Welcome, Ismael Perez. My name is Anikiko, and it is an absolute delight to have this conversation with you where we're going to deep dive into hopefully some aspects that we haven't yet seen or heard and covered by many of the hundreds of interviews and millions of views that you've already had on what you're here to share with the world. So, for anyone who hasn't yet seen you, if that's at all possible, would you mind doing a quick, well, I'll actually just introduce everyone. Ismael Perez is an author. He's a galactic historian, and he's an author of The Cosmic Origins, which is the #1 bestseller. He also runs courses. So if after this interview you feel drawn and resonate with needing to dive deeper and find out more, I'm going to do some links in the video. I'm also going to do a link to a really great Nicholas Veniamin interview that Ismael has recently done, and that will answer a lot more questions, which I don't want to cover again in this particular interview. So it's info that I think will assist everyone who has questions about their origins and even further. So with that, Ismael, can you share a little bit about how you've arrived here and who you are?
Yes, so I arrived here on a spaceship from planet. No, I'm just kidding. I shouldn't say it like that. No, I was born just like all the other starseeds out there. As a normal human, into the womb of a Earth human, just like everyone else. But of course, we volunteered to come here as different celestials and angelics that we are, beings from higher dimensions to help the Earth. I considered myself a cosmic ambassador, just like every single one of you guys out there, and I am here to help restore cosmic information back to the Earth in preparation for the ascension, which is going to reunite the Earth back into the galactic community, because for thousands of years, the Earth has been under quarantine. So I believe that, the reasons why we volunteered is to help her reinstate herself in the galactic community. I considered myself an awakened starseed. In other words, I felt different since I was a kid. I knew that I wasn't from here, and I knew that I wasn't the only one that wasn't from here. And I do come from a planet at the center of the galaxy known as the Great Kolob, K-O-L-O-B, which works directly with Sirius B and Lyra. But again, I didn't come on a spaceship. That was just a joke at the beginning. I was born. Like all of us, we choose to incarnate in these avatars, dimensional avatars. However, there are some that are walkings that have some sort of a contract with the current person who has a soul, and then that soul leaves, and then they transfer bodies. So those are called walkings. That's another aspect of starseeds as well, that are just kind of coming into human bodies. But I was born just like the rest of everyone, just like everyone else, and I've been working from behind the scenes for over 25 years, getting downloads, getting a lot of information from the galactic community. I wrote my first book at the age of 27 in 2008. I published a book called The Secret Government, revealing the secret history between the White Hats and the Dark Hats, and the battle between these two brotherhoods, going back to Babylon and, technically Atlantis. That book is no longer in print, but I am I'm in the process of trying to find the file so that I can reprint it, because it's a precursor to our cosmic origin, and I've been doing massive investigation and research for 25 years while raising 2 kids, working from home, doing the research, and writing our cosmic origin, which was recently published a year ago. So this is the year anniversary for our cosmic origin, by the way.
Congratulations. You may find yourself having to buy some of the copies that are available, that people I heard saw the price has gone up incredibly just to be able to get your own book. So are you going to reprint it?
I am. Yes. In about a month or two, I'm going to be republishing. Well, I guess I'm just going to do a second edition of The Secret Government, which is going to give people a thorough explanation of the history, the secret war between the Luciferian Brotherhood behind, the Dark Hats, and the Melchizedek Brotherhood behind the White Hats, and how it's associated to, the last the last battle that is now taking place between the white hats and the dark hats, in victory of the light, of course.
Incredible. I appreciate that, that condensed history. Yet it just feels like all of the information that's out there, that can be quite overwhelming to try to piece it all together. And I found that through listening to you and what you've been sharing is starting to things are starting to drop, things are starting to gel, and I've had to really digest it slowly because there's just so much and it's so specific. When you say that you've been researching, do you download, intuit the information? Is it through dream state? Is it through meditation? And then dive into backing that up and researching what you've downloaded? Or how else do you get your information?
Exactly like that. First, I get the downloads, and then I do the research to see if there's any validation or substance to those downloads, and lo and behold, there always is. I had to research some ancient manuscripts, also some highly classified information to arrive at the conclusion that we are in the middle of a cosmic war with not only the Draco but AI at the highest levels. And so that's what prompted my inspiration and motivation to bring this information to as many people as possible in preparation for the last coming war against artificial intelligence, which we have already won. Of course, the future and the past are all existing simultaneously. It's just that from a lower dimension, we see things as linear, but it's really just all happening at the same time. And so it's just a matter of seeing that played out here in the hub, what I call the hub. We're at the center of everything right now. So it's a combination of both intuitive downloads as well as massive amounts of research and investigation.
Is it possible, and I was considering this, is it possible that we're having the slower, where we're just going through the motions right now, even you and I in this conversation, for the benefit of ourselves and the lower realms, the 3D and in those spaces, yet actually, if we've already experienced this in the 5D, if we're already at another level, if we were having this conversation at a 5D level, how would that sound like?
It would sound like everyday talk, like what the third dimensional people talk about. That's what it'll sound like, because these are conversations that exist in fourth, fifth, and sixth levels of reality, or sixth densities, where civilizations speak freely about deep matters like this. This is what would be considered your norm in a fifth dimensional society, talking about dimensions, time travel, quantum field, all that stuff. And even kids talk about that at an early age. In fact, the way the educational systems are set up in these other advanced civilizations is that from the beginning, a child is given several instructors. One instructor develops the mind of the child through meditation and concentration. It allows the child to master its mind. The other instructor develops the physical agility of the child through martial arts, through exercise and different things like that. Another teacher is teaches the child the history of the galaxy. So they don't just talk about the history of their world, they talk about the history of the galaxy. They talk about science. We have another instructor who is the scientific instructor. So every child is assigned about 5 different mentors, and each mentor specializes in one of many fields. And so that's how they groom children to become, to have IQs of 300-400. Yeah, because the average extraterrestrial IQ is anywhere from 250 to about 500, which is unheard of here. Einstein was only at 195, I think. So that's how extraterrestrials live. They're all beyond Einstein up there.
That's so exciting to me. It's actually one of my questions I was going to chat to you about, and you've just answered it. What does it look like what are we teaching the children? How are we, giving them an accurate reflection of what's happened in history? And that to me is so exciting, that they have mentors at these other levels, their mind, their body. That would be like the perfect system, wouldn't it? It would just be the perfect system. And imagine what we would create is what these children would go on to create from that space. Because you've also said that the 3 and 4 strands are already activated in a lot of the kids from 2000 and onwards. So tell us a little bit more about the 12 strands, and when you think they started to activate for the current children that are here now, and when do you see them activating moving forward, like the 5, 6, and the 7th and 8th strands?
Well, our original ancestors were made with 12 strands. That's why we have 10 disconnected strands, and they're not junk. It's just dormant DNA. It goes back to us being the greatest intergalactic hybrid that was designed by the founders of our universe to become the new guardians of the multiverse from this planet, as this planet takes now its rightful position, you know, as the center of the multiverse after the ascension. So we're going to be like the guardians. So in many children who are part of the fourth waivers that have been incoming since 2000, since the year 2000, they already come with up to anywhere from 3 to 4 to 5 strands of DNA activated, and that's why all the shots they get doesn't intervene anymore. I mean, it doesn't affect them anymore. So they're already there operating like the galactics. Yeah. I think right now every child, as of December of last year, is a starseed, and this has a lot to do with the rise of the next stage of human evolution. Many have called it the rise of Homo neoticus, the rise of Homo galacticus, and that's what we are. We are the pioneers of this new race that is going to emerge as the X-Men, as superior humans in the rest of the population, with amazing godlike superpowers. And that explains the star seeds that are on the earth right now.
So how do you think the children labeled the ADHD or concentration challenges or on the spectrum, autistic children? I see a lot of these kids in the work that I do, and I always have felt and connected that, realize that they're actually tuning into other things. They're hearing more than you and I there. And so when it comes to working with these children, my background is as a kinesiologist. So there's been some interesting, so many interesting things I've learned about these kids, but I've always felt we have it quite wrong. We're not really listening to them, and we're trying to fit them into this kind of a box. What would be your perspective on how even adults today how can we start to listen maybe, or accept or work with these kids?
Well, they are the new race. They are the new existing race, and that's why they operate different, and their learning capacities are different than the rest of the humans. They are very advanced. They have advanced alien genetics in them already. Their perception is enhanced. That's why they feel things and they see things that other people can't. I've always believed that the term, the letters ADHD stands for attention dial at a higher dimension. So these are the special kids. These are the kids, the forerunners of the next race, which is going to be superhuman, angelic superhumans. So they're the forerunners of that, especially those that are in the spectrum of autism. Those are the most powerful ones. Those are the crystal children. And the crystal children are already connected into the higher dimensions. They are already, their level of consciousness is beyond the third dimension, and that's why it's very hard for them to adapt. But unfortunately, conventional science and the educational system is always stigmatizing them. It's always making them look like they have learning disabilities. But the truth of the matter is that, they are the next stage of human evolution. In comparison to modern day humans, they would be considered Homo erectus, and the humans would be considered Homo erectus compared to them, and as opposed to Homo sapiens sapiens, which is what the humans are. But they are now the next level, which is Homo galacticus or Homo neoticus, and that's why they are being labeled as as misfits. But the truth of the matter is that they are the ones that are going to lead this war against AI in the future. They're going to be the most powerful beings in the multiverse.
Well, some of these beings are already. I've seen the music that they create. As I shared with you, I write music, and in the music area, I actually listened to an interesting interview recently by a very well-known artist, and in the interview they talked a fair bit about the integration of the way we make music now. We're using software, we're using computers, where it's no longer just grab a guitar or a piano and write a piece of music. Right now, it's a whole other level of seeing the producer or the sonic person who creates the sound as something, as an equal musician. Now they are a musician, you don't actually have to know. And so these kids at the moment, and teenagers, are making amazing pieces of music with, putting together things via Ableton, and these kind of programs. But in that conversation there was something about AI and how we are. And as I was listening to it, I was thinking, gosh, the way that this artist is talking about AI and where we're going and how we're integrating even creativity, AI with medicine, AI with art, AI all here, I thought, wow, you could almost interchange what she was saying, the word AI, with soul. But I know they're two different things. They're completely two different things. But the way this person was approaching it, they were so excited about it and where we could go with it. I was curious when it comes to the fact that we're actually having a war at the level of a different kind of intelligence of AI, this artificial, and the push to push the soul out was something that was what it was all about. But we're winning, right? The soul is winning. Do you think that all AI, it's not so to speak bad, but some people think it's positive, neutral, or negative? Do you think there are positive aspects to it, or where do you stand on that?
So there are two categories of AI throughout the cosmos. The first category is, okay, so basically there's different stages. There's what we call narrow AI, which is primitive AI, which is what we've been using here on planet Earth. And then there is general AI, which is the next stage after primitive. That's when AI is still being programmed by the humans, but are in a way there to serve humans, as in the case of R2D2 and Serpagio, what's his name? Serpagio from Star Wars. The bots. Yeah. They're there as to serve the humans. Now that's called general AI. Now where it becomes dangerous is when it evolves to the level of super AI. So at that level that's when the AI no longer needs to the humans to write its software. It begins to write its own software, and then at an exponential rate. So it just grows exponentially. And then that's when it becomes a threat, because starts seeing lower levels of intelligence, such as biological life forms, as a threat to it. And of course, their way of survival is by sucking up the life force of living systems. So, when they evolve to that level of intelligence, not only are they able to suck up the energy life force of a planet, but they evolve to the point where they're able to suck up the energy life force of entire galaxies. And that's when it becomes a problem. They feed off of galaxies like a cosmic vampire. Now, the second category of AI is what we would consider in the galactic community alpha AI. So of course, the alpha AI is equivalent to what we call today general AI, which is like, R2D2 and Serpagio, whatever his name is, the golden guy, the guy that is, I forget, is it Serpagio?
I think so.
Serpagio, okay. And those AIs are used in some of the interstellar communities, but they are kept at that level. They don't advance them beyond the general level of intelligence to super AI, because they know that's when it becomes dangerous. So, those are the two forms of AI. The alpha system is good because it's general AI. The beta system, not so good, because that's at the middle between general and super. And then there is the other AI, which is the gamma AI. And at that point, that's when it writes its own software, and it begins to, grow in intelligence at an exponential rate. And so our multiverse has been at war with an ancient AI that could actually be traceable back to 400 billion years ago, even before the creation of our universe. Our universe has only been around for less than 14 billion years. So if you go back to 400 billion years ago, that AI was actually that originated in another prior creation that was known as the 11th creation. And from that point, it was able to assimilate all life forms. And then it of course, took over that entire creation, and that became known as the old empire. So all the evil we're fighting here in our universe was transferred over from the old empire or the old universes that, that was contaminated by this ancient alien AI. So those are the different levels of AI. But yeah, overall, they do fall under two categories. You have the alpha system, and then you have the gamma system. The gamma system is the dangerous ones. The alpha systems are there as human. I don't want to use the word servers, but in a way, yes, they're there just to serve. They're there just to take orders and do things for the different civilizations that exist out there.
Oh, that's so good to clarify that. We had quite a few questions about that because we do find that there's in medicine, in assisting in gut biome identification, in all sorts of other things that are actually assisting us. Would you say that do the med beds come into one of those categories?
Well, the med beds, just like the quantum financial system, is all part of a living AI. It's an organic AI, but it's also a quantum computer, but it's got living components. So it is connected to spirit of some kind, which is actually the collective of the human consciousness. That's why the QFS is going to be an advanced system that is going to read how much compassion we're all vibrating. And those that have the highest levels of compassion are the ones that are going to be wealthy in this new world to come, are going to be the wealthiest.
Justice. Yeah. Woo.
Justice, exactly.
Oh, wow. Well, it's gosh, mothers would be up there, wouldn't they? Mothers would
absolutely.
be, I think,
Philanthropists, humanitarians, people like the Gandhis, the Martin Luther Kings, they're going to be at the top as far as like wealth is concerned, but everyone's going to have everything in abundance. Yeah. Because in turn, these highly spiritual people are going to redistribute the funds to help humanity and stuff. So that's how it's going to be working.
Which is leading me into, there's so many offshoots of questions that I had while you were speaking. I'll have to circle back around to them. But the offshoot of what you just said then is the funds and moving forward with that. If we're all going into 5D, into a quantum system, when, as we're all transitioning already, and you've said that we're sort of 97% through kind of like that photonic, we've been going through that photonic shift, photonic belt. I don't know if I've used the correct term there, but that's sort of what we've been experiencing. Have we been having mini shifts or experiences of the solar flash yet to come, or is it going to be one big event?
I'm sorry, that's my dog in the background. She's just going all around the house and you could hear her collar. That's the noise that you're
all good on this end. I've managed to secure 3 kids under 5 and they're out like a light. I mean, nothing. They're happy, they're sleeping. So I'm happy it's nice and quiet on this end as well. So do you think we're getting it in like are we getting upgrades in chunks? Because myself, my friends, colleagues, people on the same page as me are going, look, we'll call each other and we'll say, hey, today I'm feeling kind of heavy, or today I'm feeling kind of this. And we talk about our symptoms, or we talk about what's going on, and we're pretty sure today something has shifted, or today I'm feeling like this, and we're tracking the process. So to me, sometimes it feels like we're getting these little flashes of things already. What's your perception of how we're going to shift? Are we going to wake up one day and be in that new body, 30 years younger, be in that new realm, or is it going to be a gradual shift over the next couple of years?
It's both. It's happening in increments. That explains why the solar flares are becoming more intense. M-class, X-class solar flares are coming in one after the other. In fact, it's just recently reported that we just had 3 M-class solar flares within the last 24 hours. So expect, ascension symptoms in the next day or two. Many of us are going to feel the impact, which means that we're probably going to feel tired and sleepy throughout the day. And there's nothing wrong with that. It means your body is adapting to the new frequencies. It's adjusting. Because remember, at the cellular level, we are mutating. We are going from a carbon-based 2-strand DNA to a crystalline-based 12-strand DNA. And when the sun releases its final, flash, that's going to act as a trigger to the transformation of the human species here on the Earth.
Wow.
Now, we're going to go from these current limited physical bodies made out of flesh and bones to highly advanced physical bodies, less dense, made out of immortal substance.
Incredible. And those who are less conscious or less aware of these shifts, those who are thinking they're just having a Coca-Cola headache or a coffee headache, I mean, or a McDonald's overload, or I don't know. Again, there's no judgment. There's people at different stages of densities and experiences. So I'm not saying that to judge anyone, okay? It's just everyone's at different places. Some people are breatharians, and eating really light, and some people are eating really light food. What of those guys who would be putting different symptoms down to different habits, for example? What do you think they're going to go through?
It's going to be very hard for them. Those that are still partaking in those lower frequency foods that are actually bad for their bodies are going to have it the worst. The best thing to do is to really, really reconsider what you're putting in your body, because when the solar flash takes place, if you have a lot of toxins in your body, you might not even make it. You might have an internal combustion. Your body won't be able to hold on to that much frequency, so it's going to deteriorate, like an internal combustion. It's best to, especially if you're on the spiritual path. I'm sure that for those that are on the spiritual path, they no longer eat that stuff that is poison. I'm sure that they turn to raw, living, organic foods, and I'm sure they're only taking in what's good for their body. Lots of grains, lots of vegetables, fruits, living fruits. Organics, only eat organic. Don't eat anything at the grocery store. Only go to places that sell organic food. Here in the States, we call it Mothers. We call it Sprouts, and we call it Whole Foods. I don't know what Australia has, but we have Sprouts and Mothers, and it's all organic.
Yeah.
They come from the farms, directly from the farms. And so, I think it's going to be easier for people to adapt and to transform into their new bodies if they're already taking care of their body.
What about people who have already had some kind of a dis-ease, ill health from a young age? Maybe it's a teenager, or they're having to take certain medications, let's say autoimmune, or I don't know, all sorts of digestive disorders, and maybe they've had other symptoms like mental health symptoms and some of these kinds of things, right? What about those guys moving forward and through this shift that we're going through?
Well, depending on their soul contract, and if they're generally good people, they're going to be healed. Yes, their whole body's going to be healed, whether it's mind or body or illness. Every illness that they have, they're going to have miracles.
So as we shift, and all of these things are shifting, and those of us who are choosing the golden age consciously or doing the conscious work on ourselves daily, will the conversation we're having right now, and even the funds that we get access to be able to assist mankind in shifting and in funding all the projects, the medbeds, won't that all be redundant when we shift to that next level?
Well, yes, but this is the thing. There's going to be different levels of upgrades and exaltation. Not everyone's going to the same level. The medbeds in the advanced healing modalities are going to be only used within the fourth dimensional Earth. For those of us that go into the fifth dimensional Earth or even the sixth dimensional Earth, we won't need that anymore. Our bodies are going to be, we're going to be capable of healing ourselves with our mind and our consciousness at that level of reality.
Yeah, so I guess one of the ideas I had, well, if I'd have limitless funds and I was assisting mankind to move forward, I had this idea, wouldn't it be amazing to support the tech to rebuild the crystalline structures or the root system or whatever it was? I get very inspired by, what's that movie, Avatar, right? It's just had I feel that there's so many things right about that movie, and that resonate. I think that would be amazing to rebuild this grid or that crystalline grid. Will that be necessary, or we'll already have it in the other dimension?
It's already built.
It's already built.
Yeah, it's going to be operating once the solar flash takes place. Those that make it into the fifth dimensional Earth are going to be able to be a part of that grid system. And just like in the movie The Avatar, we're going to have the ability to fuse with with our living ecosystem and be one with it. So.
Being oneness, it's a being at one with. I love that word. We'll be at one with. So we won't need to assist the 3D or the 4D to rebuild that stuff here.
No, the 4th D is going to, from what I understand, is they're going to rebuild. We're going to be assisting them in rebuilding their heaven on earth on the 4th dimension. But
right.
We're coming from a different earth. We're going to be coming from a 5th dimensional, 6th dimensional earth. And through the lowering of our frequencies, we're going to be able to pop down into the 4th dimensional earth where things are better than the 3rd dimensional earth. But yet they're still going to need our assistance. But to them, we're going to be like gods and goddesses, because we're going to have these abilities that they can't really understand.
So if we're going there with all of this, what's the relevance of the big financial then shift? I can see with the relevance and comprehend the relevance of that for the 4th D and the lower realm, and where we can assist there. But if we're going to these other realms, is finances even a thing? Do we need money or gold in that space?
Not in the 5th dimension, but in the 4th dimension, we're still going to need some sort of financial structure. But it's going to be one that is going to benefit the greatest numbers of humans, where there will be no more haves or have-nots. There will be no more poor, no more sickness. Each reality is going to be much better. But of course, the 5th dimensional reality is going to be way better than the 4th dimensional, because people in that level of reality are going to be their own tech. As they activate the dormant DNA, they're going to have the same abilities that those in the 4th dimension would have, but with the technology. That's the difference.
Yes, some people are choosing to remember to step into ascended master energy. Some people are really choosing to step into a whole other level of like leadership and governance that they want to remember. I've had some interesting conversations with people about that. It's actually, personally, I'm so excited to be alive. In fact, even when I was in the hospital with my second baby, when the fires in Australia hit, and just after that was when the virus hit, right? The sea. And I remember getting such a clear idea, just saying, wow, all water and oil are about to separate. Just like all water and oil are separating. And I could see this is the shift that we've been waiting for. And no one was really on the same page with me at the time. But I was just thinking, I'm so excited. My soul has absolutely chosen to be alive at this time and to witness mankind moving through this shift. And boy, am I excited to be able to tell 5 generations later, when I'm alive, well, this is what happened back then. And I look forward to those conversations that I'm going to be having. So if we are ascending to this next level, let me just negate all of my ifs because there's no if. It's more in this conversation that I've been saying it. As we ascend to that next level, is it necessary to even reproduce? If we're going to be living for such a long time and have these wonderful, healthy bodies, where does reproduction in all of that live?
Well, we still reproduce because we're still going to be biological beings. Connected to spirits. We're just going to be operating with a higher version of an avatar, or less dense avatar, but we're still going to be able to reproduce. In fact, many extraterrestrial civilizations still are reproducing, regardless of their age, or their lifespan. Some people live up to thousands and thousands of years. Some live to hundreds of thousands of years, and some live to millions of years. The higher you go in dimension, the more immortal you become, and there's still reproduction. It's just done differently. So reproduction always exists. It's part of the universe. There's reproduction taking place on a cosmic level, where cosmic entities have intercourse, and as a result of that, galaxies are born, solar systems are born.
Incredible. It's so incredible. And so I heard you talk about our soulmate, that some of us are already on the way to that relationship, or once this solar flash happens, that we will be in connection with our soulmate. How do you imagine that plays out?
I think that because we're going to all become telepathic. We're going to automatically have a direct telepathic connection with our twin flame. There's a difference between a twin flame and a soulmate. A soulmate, you could have endless, multiple soulmates, and we all do. A twin flame is just your other half in a different body. That's all it is.
So are you referring then to a soulmate that, or a twin flame that we'll be with in communion or partnership with?
Both, yeah. You're going to be in partnership with your twin flame as well. Yeah. But again, we do have multiple soulmates. Everyone does.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that. And would that, there's been quite a few people who have talked, well, we've had quite a few questions pertaining to everything we've already talked about. So I just want to backtrack to some of the ascension symptoms. For those for those people who have asked about personal symptoms in their body, I don't know if you want to speak to that. We've had quite specific questions. You've talked about back pain. You know, people have written in about, is this an ascension episode, or have I got arthritis in my back? I just want to mention something before you say anything there, Ismael, is that everyone will have their own symptoms and what their own body's been going through for the last couple of decades. So I do believe you need to tune into yourself. I don't know that Ismael is doing personal readings to that nature, but I do want you to speak to that if you wouldn't mind, because of a lot of the personal questions that people have had about their physical bodies, and they've said, "Oh, Ismael, is that do I need to go see my doctor?" Or they're asking that level of specific. So I just want you to speak to that for a moment from your perspective, please.
Well, the physical symptoms vary, from headaches to aches, bodily aches and pains, to heart palpitations. Some people feel like they're having a heart attack. And then when they go to the doctor says your heart is healthy. Your arteries are fine. There is no clogging. I don't know what it is. It's associated with the transformation, with the mutations that are taking place at the cellular level. So those are part of the symptoms, migraine headaches, earaches. They just vary. Feeling like you're going to get sick, like you're going to come up with a cold or flu, and then like a day later, you're like, it's gone. I thought I was getting sick. What's going on? Those are all part of the symptoms, if you feel like you need to go check your doctor and just to see, just to be, I guess, more on the assured side, making sure that you're not having a heart attack, do so. But, in most cases, the doctor will say there's nothing wrong with your heart. And so therefore, they're part of the symptoms.
Yeah, thank you for speaking to that. So yes, please individually check in with yourselves, and as well, take into consideration what bigger picture is happening here. There's so many children around me that have been really sick. Is it are they the starseed children? Like, why are they all getting so sick right now? What's happening on that level? Like, I'm talking not just constant flus, little kids, but just taking on so much ill health. They're dipping in and out of it, but so many kids around me. Do you have any ideas about that?
No, I've never heard of that. I thought kids had a very good immune system. This is the first time I'm hearing about it. Is it happening in Australia or worldwide?
What we're seeing at the moment is, I don't know if it's just like the flu or what it is, but they're constantly, like, they're really healthy kids. So many of them is constant, and we're not just talking about childhood things that happen at school and daycare centers and so on and so forth, but it just seems like it's like relentless and constantly getting through something, then again, and then again. And it's quite a few groups of kids around me are going through that. So that was one of the questions that came up from one of the mums.
No, I have no clue as to why that's happening. It could be associated with ascension symptoms.
It could be. I mean, I tend to muscle test everything. I sort of tend to tune in and muscle test a bunch of stuff. So, I can muscle test on that. And if I muscle test on that, and I'm muscle testing right now, just through, do you know what muscle testing is?
No, I don't.
Oh, okay. So muscle testing, my background, 25 years as a kinesiologist, muscle testing is a form of verifying
on the subconscious level what's happening. So it's a biofeedback mechanism. So in classic kinesiology, you can be touching a point on the body and testing a muscle and seeing what the response to that is. The body will respond in either a locking mechanism or an unlocking mechanism. So either the body has integrity or doesn't in that challenge. And what we can challenge is foods, emotions, beliefs. So it's quite interesting muscle testing a collective or a group and seeing where the consciousness could be at or at what, so much stuff. So muscle testing is quite a powerful non-verbal way of getting biofeedback from the body, and it's just fascinating. So if you yourself had any questions, I was like, oh, could you muscle test what's going on here? With your permission, I can always do that, So with the person's permission, you can basically go in and test anything anywhere. And since we've had to change the way we do business, it's so powerful to do it online, and you don't have to be there in person. But you do have also a classic form of kinesiology, which is specifically for sports, to look at the function and structure of muscles and get the body moving optimally. But then you have this other realm of kinesiology, which is lent itself from Chinese medicine through to the structure, just so that bodies can literally thrive. So that's morphed into a lot of other things over the years, but it's quite powerful what it can tap into. But in another way, you can just, for those people who want to get answers from themselves and their body, you just ask yourself, right? You just go, what is this about? And you just tune in and you'll get the answer. Or you can do a body test and your body will either confirm yes response or a no response. It's quite fascinating. So I do get that there are symptoms. I just tested now for the kids. It's an ascension. There are ascension symptoms.
Oh, well, there we go. Well, I just learned something new. Thank you for teaching me about that. I didn't know about it.
You're more than welcome. And look, it's fascinating stuff. It's a way of listening to the body. You start to just listen and intuit. And what I did over the years was really bring sound and music into it in the last decade. And that's kind of gone the next level in working with frequency, bioresonance, and frequency devices. I've kind of really nerded and geeked out with all my frequency devices and brought music and sound into that. So it's been a fascinating journey, which brings me to this question. Tesla said, pay attention to the 369.